Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. I am Manir Dan Ali. My guest today is Engineer Suleiman Hussein Adamu, the Minister of Water Resources of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Welcome to the program, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Manir.
I mean, we are sitting when there is a raging war, shall I say, to do with your ministry, the Water Resources Bill. This is the second coming of the same bill, and the war of attrition doesn't seem to be ending. I don't know what is your understanding of why the bill is generating so much heat in the country.
Okay, before I say that, let me just take us back to history. First of all, let me make this very clear. The water resources of this country by the provisions of the Water Resources Act 2004 are vested in the federal government. Whatever anybody may say, the law is there. The water resources of this country are under the control of the federal government, as I'm talking to you now. So nothing has changed. But let us go back to history. This bill, the process started in 2004, when Nigeria joined other countries of the world to adopt integrated water resources management as a concept of managing the water resources of a country. What that means is that the citizens are empowered to be part and parcel of the process of developing its water resources. I will explain that in detail later, but in general terms, that's what it means. And that also trying to create a balance between the ecosystem, the water resources,
Yes.
the land and whatever, so that there is a complete balance within the environment.
Kind of sustainability
Absolutely,
drive.
absolutely. That's the whole concept. The whole world is adopting that, especially related to when it comes to issues of transboundary waters crossing different political boundaries. Now, on the basis of that, experts in the sector, along with the government, with support from the European Union, started to introduce that concept, trying to introduce it. And they found that the best way to do it is to consolidate all the laws, the water laws in the country, into one booklet, one statute.
Right.
As I'm talking to you, we have four laws that are governing the water resources
Four
sector.
different federal
laws. The Water Resources Act 2004, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Act, the National Water Resources Institute Act, and the River Basins Development Authorities Act. These are the four laws that govern the water resources sector. So the idea was, okay, let's put all this, they are all fragmented, let's put them together under one statute, a national water law, as it exists in most countries of the world. So the process started. Experts, some professors of law in Nigeria, Nigerian legal experts were brought in, and they had the first draft of this bill in 2008. This bill was now, they had some workshops around the country to introduce the
views
bill.
of different
Absolutely,
people, different
stakeholders, absolutely,
were sought and obtained.
exactly, and then it was finalized. But after it was finalized, I think the people in the administration that didn't put much attention to it, whoever the minister then probably didn't give it the priority that it deserved, and therefore it was left in the cooler. Fast forward 2015, when I came into office, I organized a retreat, brought in water experts from all over the country to discuss a way forward for the water sector. And the issue of this water bill kept creeping, that we need to get this bill passed, we need to get it passed so that the concept of this integrated water resources management can be consolidated moving forward.
But why are people maybe either misreading or misinterpreting if what you say is right?
I will come to that in a few minutes. What we did then, we brought out the bill. I read it personally, cover to cover, and then we gave it out we called back the experts. We looked at it, we took all the comments that were brought from other professional bodies, included them, redrafted it, included all those comments, And then I took it to the National Council on Water Resources, which is...
That is where all the
all
commissioners of
commissioners,
water resources
yes,
with you as chair.
Exactly,
Right.
in May 2016. And they endorsed it. And then we went to the Federal Executive Council in September 2016. The Federal Executive Council endorsed it. All the 30 states are represented on that council. And then the Attorney General now submitted it to the National Assembly. It was passed without any issue at the House of Representatives. When it came to the Senate, some senators asked some questions. They wanted definitions about this and that. And at that material time, some people took this bill out and said there was a division between northern senators and southern senators and made it a north-south affair. And that was how this controversy started. Now,
and then you were forced to withdraw it at some point.
It was not that it was withdrawn. It was because it was already...
The tenure
of the 8th Assembly was,
right.
was out, so it was not... it wasn't carried because we were already going into election fever.
Right.
And then, so when I came back into office the second time, I now decided to bring it because as far as I'm concerned, it was unfinished business.
But
now,
you are bringing it at another late hour. I mean, we are smelling election a few months down the line.
No, that is not the reason. It was
right.
just a coincidence because this bill ought to have been considered way back in December. It was because of the budget constraint that it wasn't. But the point is, again, why we took it back was when the controversy got so much, we said, look, okay, we are not dummies. Let's go back and look at this. What is really the problem? And then we invited independent experts again to have a look at this bill. And they said primarily there was nothing wrong with this bill. People are just playing politics with it. And that brings me to the issue. I realized there are 3 categories of people that are attacking this bill. 1, parochial interests, people that always want to see things in this country as from a political angle or a division between North and South, between this and that.
But their concern is not that, as they are saying. They are saying that they suspect this is another attempt, like in the editorial of one of the newspapers, they are even saying it's another attempt to have more land for the Fulanis to take over.
There is nowhere in this bill. Let them go and read the bill. I've challenged everybody to go and read the bill. Tell me anywhere where land was mentioned. When I addressed the Governors Forum, the Governor of Benue, who is the major protagonist of this, he was the first person to ask me a question. Is this your bill supposed to take land from the banks of the river? I say, Your Excellency, there is nothing in this bill about grabbing land. Go and look at it. We are talking about the water resource of the country. And in any case, all these things you are saying, 96 or 95, 96% of this bill are already existing laws. We're just putting them together in one booklet. The laws are there. The laws are existing. And that's what we're operating. Go and check. If you take the Water Resources Act 2004 and look at this bill, compare them, look at the wordings.
But if already these laws are there, why must you have them in one place? I mean, given the animosity towards it, given the organized opposition against it, because you can see newspapers are taking positions, articles are being written, editorials are being written, and they are making it look like war. In fact, one of them called it Water Resources Bill Recipe for Wars.
Yes, because the people that have been telling this country lies, they have been misleading the population, want to keep lying, and the only way they can do it, the only way they can keep lying or maintain what they call their own integrity is to continue to feed people with these lies. I challenge anybody to go and read this bill and tell me whether it's a recipe for war.
What about the land grabbing thing that they are talking about? Because they are saying it's as if it's going to take over lands by the banks of the waterways.
Excuse me, Mandir. The Water Resources Act has been existing since the military regime. It was Decree 103 or something like that. Land was not grabbed. What makes people think that a law that has been operating for over 20 years, 30 years, more than 30 years, that it is today that it can be used to grab land? There is nothing there. The point is, in every country, wherever you're in the world, transboundary waters cannot be left in the hands of states.
That is waters that cut across different states.
It's just the same way as the Federal Highway Act. If you look at the highways that transcend states, where are they? They are in the hands of the federal government. They are all being controlled by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing.
There is also the concern that it could affect fishermen, because that's some of the argument that people in the Niger Delta who depend on the waters will now be constrained by this new law.
If you go and look at the bill, and maybe I'll give you an electronic copy, then you Google search for fish and see whether there's any mention of fish in that bill. There is nothing like that. What we want to do is to protect our water resources like every other country does. And what we're saying, those people, the major people that are opposing this, they stand to gain from this bill more than anybody. I have said it repeatedly. The major rivers in this country are rivers Niger and Benue. River Niger comes into Nigeria through Kebbi State. River Benue comes in through Benue State. If the federal government is not the custodian of these rivers, imagine this scenario, and Kebbi State wakes up one day and decides to dam River Niger, or Adamu State decides to dam River Benue. What happens downstream? From Niger, Kogi, Anambra, Delta, Bayelsa and rivers, they are all affected. Or if, for instance, somebody decides to divert the river, what happens? So you need to have a central authority that will say no, that this is not possible. And that's essentially what this is. So the southern states, the riverine states, or the delta states that have been fed or misinformed about this, they stand to benefit from this bill more than any. They are the ones that are protected. It's not.
But are you communicating all this to them? Because apparently there is a gap. That is why all this misinformation is going.
I've always said that in this country, we have what we call convenient amnesia. People easily forget. We communicate with everybody. I had several TV sessions. I've done several interviews. We had a national press conference, myself, and the Minister of Information, you remember?
Right.
All that was there.
But have you sat down one-on-one with, say, all the governors at their forum as to address their fears?
I told you, I addressed the governors forum. Eventually, we sent all the bills to them. Their attorneys general, they set up a committee of their attorneys general. They sat down, they looked at the bill. They sent in their comments, their observations about the bill. There was nothing fundamentally wrong. They were only talking about maybe things like devolving powers to deal with the issues of licensing for drilling and so on, which we have taken. We said we're going to take care of. We'll have a national.
And have you taken care of it?
Oh yes.
So now states can give the permission to do boreholes and all of that.
Obviously, federal government cannot be the one. It will be chaotic if the federal government will be the one issuing licenses for any borehole that is going to be drilled in the country. For the same way that you go to state government for planning approval to build your houses, it's the same process we're adopting. But we need to have a national framework. We need to have national standards so that we monitor our groundwater as well. So those are the key issues.
But then maybe it's coming at the wrong time when there is all this concern about devolution of powers, because there is this agitation that the federal powers, as they are too much. So why add some more? I think this is where some of the opponents of the bill are coming from.
Where is the addition? There is nothing in this bill that adds any power to the federal government beyond what the federal government is already enjoying in terms of authority. Schedule 64 of the Constitution is very clear. Go and see it. All the rivers that are transboundary rivers, they have been mentioned, that are under the management, or I don't want to use the word control, but even if you can say control of the federal government, the law already provides it. The Constitution provides that. Nothing has changed. And the other thing that people are not even talking about, they are only saying land grab, land grab, land grab. Go and read the bill. I said it's about sustainability of water resources. This integrated water resources management concept that I'm telling you, it actually whittles the powers of the minister. The current Act, Water Resources Act 2004, gives the minister enormous powers to deal with water resources of this country. But this bill is now saying, let's have an independent regulator, let's have a commission with representatives from all the 6 geopolitical zones, nominated by the president, approved by the Senate. And there will be what we call catchment management committees.
And you are happy to lose this enormous powers that you have?
Well, that is the way it is. That is the way it is supposed to go. If people don't want it, I'm happy to retain the powers that I have now. But I don't want it because I'm a water resources expert and I feel that this bill is good for the country as it is operated elsewhere. So What this means, and this is why like Kafin Zaki Dam has still not been constructed, because what this bill is saying, before we can do any major water resources project, all the stakeholders along the catchment must concur. Right now, as minister, I can just say this is where we're going to site our dam, and that's it. But with this bill, you have to go, you have to get a license, you have to get the commission, there has to be public hearings, and so on and so forth. There has to be environmental impact audit and assessment to ensure that nobody is negatively impacted, that everybody, benefits from that project. If any community along the way or any catchment feel that this bill threatens them, we have to go and negotiate.
Very interesting
Absolutely.
Details from the water resources bill. But at this point, I would like us to go on a short break and then resume in the meantime. Viewers, it is 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Our guest today is the Minister of Water Resources of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Engineer Suleiman Hussein Adamu. Welcome back to 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Our guest today is the Minister of Water Resources of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Engineer Suleiman Hussein Adamu. Before we went on the break, you are telling telling us about some of the details in the controversial, in quotes at least, the water resources bill that has continued to generate more comments and opposition, especially from those whose voices are always loudly heard in Nigeria. What other interesting details are there? Because you are saying you are ready that the new law will even whittle down the powers of your office, that's the office of the minister. Are there other interesting details that maybe people who are opposed to it have not even bothered to know about?
Absolutely. For instance, we are also empowering, there's a provision now to empower irrigation farmers through the creation of water user associations so that they can be given the mandate to work on, to improve, to handle the issue of maintenance of secondary and tertiary irrigation infrastructure. Rather than maybe pay water bills, the water charges to government, the law will provide for them to set up their own management and also have bank accounts and so that they can pool money and they'll begin to improve and to work, to use it to maintain irrigation facilities. Right now, we're working on Trimin project, Transforming Irrigation Management in Nigeria project, supported by the World Bank. Kadawa irrigation scheme in Kano alone, when I came into office, 5,000 hectares were not being irrigated because there has been we're relying on budgetary allocation to rehabilitate the irrigation system.
Yeah, the channels and all of those
the irrigation,
that were blocked.
the canals, they were blocked and nobody was responsible. It was the responsibility of the government and government was not doing it and the farmers were suffering. So now we are having a win-win situation and we need to back it by law. So that's one provision that is also there. Secondly, there's a provision for what we call the WASH Fund, Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Fund. This is a fund that we want to create so that state governments, the issue of water, sanitation, hygiene, the statistics are dismal in this country. States are not investing. So states are going to benefit from this bill. If we have this WASH Fund, there is going to be a provision, funds will be available that states can leverage on to go and invest more in water, sanitation, and hygiene projects. That's another thing.
And where will the money come from?
Well, the law will provide for. There will be contributions from the federal government, from state, from development partners, and so where the framework has been developed. There are going to be various channels through which monies can be generated and pooled, so that there's a way of trying to improve on the delivery of water supply and sanitation in the country.
One key function of your ministry is providing water, and it doesn't appear that there's any city in Nigeria that can boast of potable water supply. Why is it so?
Thank you very much. That is what everybody assumes, that it is the responsibility. We are just talking now that federal government should devolve powers. The federal government was never ever responsible for provision of municipal water supply. That is the responsibility of states. Even the rural water supplies is the responsibility of states and local governments. But because on the concurrent list, federal government intervenes and support states to be able to do these things. But what we have realized in the last several years is many states have abdicated their responsibility and allowed and left it to the federal government. The federal government cannot be the one providing water supply to the states. It's not designed, the system is not designed that way. And that is why there is nowhere you see that the federal government has a water agency, a water board. We don't have one, only FCT.
What about the FCT? That's the
yeah,
one
that's only
to,
FCT.
yes.
So that's the
but
only
even
one.
in the FCT, there is no universal
FCT,
coverage.
Again, that is not within
that's
not within the purview of the Ministry of Water. So that is for the FCT administration. But bear in mind that what has happened to the FCT is that in the last 20, 30 years, there has been a huge influx of people beyond what was projected.
But isn't that expected, because everybody wants a good life? So if it is in the FCT, that's why everybody will want to come.
I can assure you, at least this administration, we're doing a lot on that. If you go to the street, you will see a lot of pipes being laid through a $400 million investment that this administration is making to improve the water supply in the FCT. We made the situation, we're improving it. So everything we're doing in FCT, we're doing it at federal, because it's a federal territory. So I believe in a few years, because these projects it just happen overnight. I mean, it's going to be a process of construction and so on. In the next few years, I'm sure the situation will improve. There is enough capacity for treatment, the raw water and the treatment in FCT. The problem is the distribution.
Which is like power. They used to tell us generation and then now distribution and transmission. So even the water again.
Yes, exactly. They have to go together. But I don't know what has happened. Previous administration, they will take generation or they will take treatment as one aspect. They will finish it and not continue to do the rest. These things have to go together. You cannot have a treatment plant without a transmission and a distribution going there and you say you have water.
And even the Gurara water transfer, that's the transfer of water through pipes from Gurara Dam to Lower Usman, that is too small now for the FCT. It hasn't improved much.
The point I'm making, that's why I said there is enough water. There is enough between Gurara Dam and Lower Usman Dam. When there is a low flow in Lower Usman, we release water from Gurara. There is enough raw water. The capacity of the existing treatment plant in Buhari is more than enough to cater for the existing water supply situation, even for many years to come.
But to the ordinary resident, he wouldn't mind the technicalities. All he wants is clean water in his tap, and that's not happening.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying, that the issue was left behind many years ago. If previous administrations had been implementing the water plan, the water supply master plan for Abuja, religiously and, commensurate with the population increase, will not be there. But it's always been that the population has always been ahead of it. But the current efforts. You are
the longest serving minister of this particular ministry, over 7 years. I think the closest is Mukhtar Shagari, about 6 years. So how come you haven't broken this jinx?
No, but these are legal issues. These are legal issues. Do you know, when I came into office, there were 43 water supply projects being implemented by the federal government in various
in spite of it being more of a state matter.
Exactly, more than 43. We restructured them. We finished many. We finished Mangu. We finished another one in Taraba, and the largest one was started in 1992. The Zobe water supply project that supplies Katsina. We broke that jinx. We finished it. 1992 project. President commissioned it last year.
But the water is not yet flowing in all these communities.
Excuse me. Again, when we finish, we hand over to the states. We don't manage the schemes. We have done the capital contribution. It is for the states to buy the alum, to pay for the power, to employ the people, to run the scheme. I can run the scheme for them.
But at the end of the day, I mean, your federal government, including the states, take the blame. Because ordinary citizens will say, yes, so many billions we've had on radio have been spent, but still, when you open the tap, it's just a hissing sound.
Yeah, that is because people are ignorant of what the situation is. It is not my responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the federal government to provide water in your taps. I have said that. I've made that very clear. It was even in the news recently, and people were drawing daggers on me. But that is the truth. I'm unapologetic about it. People, if you don't have water in your taps, you should go and ask your state government.
So the federal government is unconcerned about it.
It's not that we're unconcerned. We have invested money. Manir, let me tell you. I'll give you an
But they
example.
say the sense of the pudding is in the eating.
Excuse me.
It is not delivering water.
But I cannot manage it. We are not trained. We are not by law required to manage it. And again, that is one of the problems associated with this bill that we've not talked about. It appears state governments cannot manage their state water agencies.
So what is to be done?
That's why, again, we want to strengthen, in the bill, we strengthen the regulator. When you have a regulator, the private sector will feel comfortable to come and invest their money to manage the schemes. So without the law, these are some of the key reasons why we really, really want this law to be passed. Because if we have an independent regulator, people will feel comfortable, the chances of public-private partnership will be enhanced.
But Honorable Minister, this sounds like good news to people in water business, pure water, bottled water, and even those who are drilling boreholes, that the government doesn't appear to be about to solve the water supply problem to its citizens.
Well, it's unfortunate because I can tell you that there is a lot to say about the quality of pure water. And I think, but the key thing is that states should invest more, and we've been making hue and cry about it, that they should make water supply, sanitation a priority for them, so that citizens can have adequate water supply. I think that is the key to it. But of course, a vacuum has been created, and that's where the pure water sellers and the water bottling companies are making business. But this shouldn't be the case. We should improve on our water supply delivery. I can tell you that currently there's no adequate investment in water supply. Even the existing schemes that are there in the states, they are working below capacity. And if they are working, the quality of the water itself is not good. So that is why we need an improvement, not only in investment, but also in managing these services by the states, because ultimately it is their responsibility to provide water to the people. It is not the responsibility of the federal government. But the federal government has supported states in so many ways. But even the schemes that we have done and handed over to the states, some states, they are not even managed properly.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for the time spent with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.